A question that you may be asking is, if we're not controlling our kids, what are we doing? I don't know if that's what your experience is, but when I started letting go of control and letting my kids have more control over their life, I almost felt disoriented and like I was reeling a little bit. Like I couldn't quite figure out what my role was meant to be if I wasn't reminding them about everything and telling them about everything and trying to control their choices and their decisions anymore. What the heck am I supposed to do? And this is a really great question to ask. First, you're going to set those boundaries. So the boundaries for your home, you're going to set the boundaries for yourself. And then you're going to give your kids lots of choices, and you're going to get your hands off their steering wheel and let them choose what they are going to do. And then you're going to let them own the outcomes of those choices. So this actually takes a lot of the work out of parenting for you, because you get to just back off and allow them to make choices and see how it works for them and how it doesn't work for them, and then let them experience the outcome of those choices. And we're going to talk about that more in Earned Consequences with the E of the Wiser program, but really you're going to spend your time getting good at this instead. So an example of this, one of the first things that we started letting go of control of with our oldest when we first started working with Janet was bedtime. There were so many battles around bedtime, and it was like this knockdown, drag out fight every night he was then 10 years old. And it was really frustrating, and it put a lot of friction in our relationship. And so we knew that was one of the places where we needed to let go of the steering wheel. It wasn't so much a respect issue, it was more of a control issue, that we could feel him fighting back for control on that steering wheel. So what we decided was, what is our personal boundary? Our personal boundary is that our parent hat is off at 8:30, like I said. And so we just had to say to him, here's the deal. You get to decide now for you. You get to decide if you're wearing pajamas, if you're staying up, if you're brushing your teeth. All of those things are now your decision. The thing we need honored is that you are out of our space at 8:30. Now, this is going to sound like a Spider-Man clip, but with great freedom comes great responsibility. So we did this process. We set our boundaries, and then we gave him lots of choices. Pajamas or not, brush teeth or no, go to sleep or not, it's up to you. But then we had to come around to the other side of that and say, what are going to be the natural outcomes if he stays up late, if he doesn't go to sleep, if he doesn't brush his teeth? And then we need to let him own the natural outcomes of that. So cavities became his responsibility. And within 6 months, he had 2 cavities and he had to pay for them on his own. And this was kind of fun because he wanted to go to a pediatric dentist, which that is totally the right fit for a lot of people. So I'm not shaming going to a pediatric dentist at all. But he was afraid of shots, and so he wanted to go to a pediatric dentist. And I said, that's totally fine. It's just going to be a couple $100 extra if you want to be asleep for the procedure. So then he asked, well, what's a shot like? And so I said, it's kind of like a pinch. And he said, will you pinch me so I know what it feels like? And so I pinched him so he could feel it. And he said, ow, that hurt. Yeah, but are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And I said, this dentist of ours is a family friend, and if you go to him, it's going to be a lot less expensive. It's probably going to be like $30 instead of a couple $100. And so he decided that he was okay just going to the dentist, and he did great, and he paid the $30 and learned a lot from that experience. He's still not 100% at his brushing, but he's better than he was, and he's self-motivated, and he's exercising self-control, and I'm not having to remind him all the time. I am now out of his boundary on that, and he is getting to think for himself, how's this going to play out for me if I don't take care of this? Now, the other thing that we saw and we continue to see is that he stays up really late and that he has a hard time waking up in the morning. So then we just let him own the natural outcome of that. That if he's late and we have to take him to school because he doesn't have time to walk, that's $10 a time because he's a good distance away and we have to drive him there. So just setting up those kinds of things is what you do instead of getting your hands on the steering wheel. You find a lot of the teaching opportunities. Now, there's one more thing that we want to emphasize. What you can do instead of trying to control is model, model, model. So if you want your kids to do something and live a certain way because you feel like it's healthy and respectful and responsible, but you're trying to control things less, take that same amount of energy that you were putting into controlling and put it into becoming that thing yourself. And I think that you'll recognize this phrase that I couldn't hear what you said because your actions spoke louder than your words. And that is the same for us as parents, that we can say a lot and our kids don't really listen to it, but our actions say an awful lot. So in my case of my child being irresponsible with his bedtime and staying up really late, I could take my energy and show him what it looks like to go to bed at a reasonable time so that I have energy to hop up and live a productive life and not be emotional because I'm exhausted. Or if you have a child who has a hard time with emotional regulation, learn how to emotionally regulate and model emotional regulation. Model the healthy relationships and lifestyle that you want your kids to participate in so that at some point in their life, because they haven't felt controlled by you, they can come to you and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm seeing that you are happy and you're energetic and you're healthy and you have good relationships. Can you teach me how you're doing that? So that's where you can put your time and energy into instead. So we're going to set up the boundaries. We're going to allow them to make choices. We're going to let them earn the outcomes or experience the earned outcomes. And then we're going to model a lot of healthy behavior for them.